Now let's get into the juicy stuff. Let's get straight into Star Wars Squadrons because I'm super, super excited about this and I can't wait to talk about it. So basically, if you missed all the news and you don't know what the heck we're talking about, this week EA announced their new Star Wars game called Squadrons, which will allow people to sit in the pilot seat of various starships from the Star Wars universe in an aerial combat game. This is going to be really, really cool. So the game will feature a full single-player story campaign set after the events of Return of the Jedi, and it will be seen from alternating perspectives. So you'll play as both the good guys in the new rebellion, but also the bad guys in the terms of the Empire, the Imperial fleet, which is really interesting. So you'll get to see the battle work out from both perspectives, which is really interesting. It will also feature 5v5 multiplayer battles between New Republic and Imperial fleets, which will be VR cross-platform play between both PC and PlayStation players. So PSVR will be getting this VR support, and obviously PC will as well, and you'll be able to play cross-play with those players as well, which is pretty interesting. Now, it's not just like a straight-up 5v5 like deathmatch. You'll actually have to work together as a team to take down the enemy and complete tactical objectives. And there's two sort of main modes to that, which were sort of detailed in the gameplay reveal this week if you want to go check it out. But you'll basically be able to take control of real classic ships from the series, such as A-Wings, X-Wings, Y-Wings, U-Wings, TIE Fighters, TIE Interceptors, TIE Bombers, and TIE Reaper fighters, which is pretty cool. And it's going to be like a proper multiplayer progression system, which is, we've got plenty of multiplayers in VR, but not really many of them take advantage of like what we see on PC or console, where you really have this deep progression system where you unlock cosmetic stuff or like new weapons or new engines and new shields and hulls, which you're going to be able to do in this game. So I think it's really great that they're adding that feature in there, and apparently they're keeping it completely clear of microtransactions as well, which is great to hear, because
I was so surprised.
Plagued EA for years.
I was so surprised. I mean, it's plagued EA's strategy for years, I would say. I mean, like, they've been unfortunately one of the main proponents pushing microtransactions, and to see them actively step away and address that in a very overt manner with this is one of the most exciting things for me about this.
Although in the past they are known for not adding surprise mechanics to their game until the press finally made their reviews, and then they add them later. But I do feel like after Jedi Fallen Order, they learned that you do not have to only make goldmine multiplayer titles, or even put it in single player. That's even worse. And that if you make a good game, you can really make some sales. But it's EA, so we'll see, because I played Star Wars Battlefront 2 a lot, really liked it. You also have fights there in the skies. You can control the Millennium Falcon and Boba Fett's, I forgot the name, but his ship. And it's fun, but you really see that after no more updates, and that's it. And then you paid a lot of money for, so we'll see. I'm someone who, let's say, doesn't pre-order games like this. Pre-order is almost no game. And I just first want to see what it's like. But I do believe this is going to be very good, after the last few games EA made. It seems like they're on the right path.
Yeah, what I think about it, regardless about that the game looks bloody cool, it is a PC or a console game, but it's like VR has not just been added to it. Because when I heard the announcement, I was like, there's probably going to be like a couple of missions that are going to be in virtual reality, but it's actually from beginning up until end. They say the full campaign, the full game, the multiplayer, everything is all playable in virtual reality. And I think that is a strategy that we haven't seen from EA before. Like, have they released any VR games before? I mean, I know that they acquired Respawn Entertainment, and they're working on Medal of Honor, correct? Like they're the publisher
but EA is a publisher.
That.
So they don't really. Well, I mean, of course they make games, but they are mainly the publisher. But besides that,
it's a strategy that I haven't seen from EA before, that they actually release a PC game that is fully playable on a virtual reality platform. They don't have to do that.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily, like, I don't know the background of who worked on this, but I don't think it's necessarily EA saying like, wow, VR is awesome, so let's put it into the game. It's just the people who work there that had experience with VR, like, hey, big boss man, I have an idea. Maybe we should do this. So
Yeah, of course, I get that, but from the perspective of like, of earning money, I don't think that building it for VR is the ultimate way to make more money. They could release an extra mode on PC or an extra mode on the console versions. So I find it. I wonder what convinced them to start investing on the virtual reality platform. Is it that it's finally time that they believe that the system can stand on its own, that there's like added value into bringing VR players this kind of experience?
So you're asking why now?
To money. Yeah, what is
why
the
now?
reason that they now release a PC game with full virtual reality support?
I think it's just the stars align at the right moment, and our developers and the team who worked on this that believe in VR and are willing to push that within the end, like the whole agenda of EA. I think that's what happened. I don't think EA is really like, whoa, VR is like, because they haven't showed much. And this is also like a good step into the right direction, but we haven't seen EA making full-fledged VR games. We haven't seen EA ever say in any of their EA plays like, oh, VR is going to be the future. We believe in this. And
to be fair, like the VR support has only been mentioned very few times when they've talked about this game. Like during the reveal gameplay, they only mentioned it once. They didn't show any VR gameplay. The details about it supporting VR was actually hidden on the website. It wasn't mentioned in the original trailer either. So although it
but the latest trailer they released was VR gameplay.
And they didn't.
I didn't see any VR gameplay.
Yeah, the thing is they haven't shown any head. So that was one of the things I was going to.
Head moving.
There's no head movement. There's no interaction. There's a kind of what could be tricked as VR head movement, which is there's a kind of a normalized head turn in the cockpit, but I don't think that's natural human VR head movement.
I don't think so.
There are three things about this that make me super excited. I only got to watch the trailer because it was a super busy week. I got to watch the trailer today, and my jaw actually dropped. Like I'm not a huge Star Wars nut. Like I don't go bonkers for Star Wars games. I like a good game when there is one, like Jedi Knight 2 some years ago. I really liked that. I missed KOTOR and cried a tear that I wasn't ever able to play that when it was hot. But the three things that for me really, really stand out that this is going to be possibly a turning point. Number one are because it's a flat game and it's VR, that gives this lovely spine of we have players waiting for you, VR players. And then that's mixed with the fact that this thing looks and appears to play like a better Eve Valkyrie, which was already a fantastic dogfight game, but didn't have that spine that ever gave you enough of a community to have full games every time you jumped in, which is what you need in this kind of game to really feel the thrill. And then, like, there's going to be, and this is the part that I'm most interested in, is EA going to limit VR players? I don't think they are. I don't think they're going to pocket us into like, okay, you can join a VR server versus 2D, which means VR players are going to have a distinct advantage in dogfighting. And that's going to drive people to buy hot asses and to buy VR headsets and suit up and get in. And that is awesome. That combination of things, I think you used the word trifecta, Mike, but it gets me super excited about this. Yeah. Super excited.
It would help if EA promotes it more. But I think like EA is a company, if they learn that they can make money with VR and do more sales, maybe even bundle it with a headset and stuff, they will put so much more money into it. So it's like, if let's say it swings the right way and it ends up at their office and they understand what's going on with that, then we might see this seeing more in the future where Mirror's Edge could be like having a little experience next to it, or Battlefield. I mean, Battlefield has great campaigns. I would love to have Bad Company and have a little bit of a side story there.
But they are publishing Medal of Honor still, so they're going into a number of. I mean, this is virtual reality, but it probably won't have like controller support. It will be HOTAS and that kind of.
It's gonna be a desk game anyway. Like what space sim do you play? I mean, this is an arcade game, right? It's not. But
it has a single player campaign. I think that's a very smart choice as well, because then that means that you have you have something for everyone a little bit, and I really like that kind of stuff.
But this VR support also comes with the fact that they brought all of their titles to Steam now, and that's because they need more money. They want to make more money, so they put it onto Steam. and that's fine. As someone who plays a lot of Battlefield, you can see an increase in more players.
So you're talking about the move from Origin to actually finally giving up the ghost and saying,
because
come to Steam.
because VR support usually, like Origin as a platform does not have any built-in VR support.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I thought that was one of the reasons as well.
Yeah, same.
Well, I mean, it's sure like the money is of course going above the.
I'm sure they're missing out definitely by having their own platform. I totally agree. But just to touch on the controller support, you're right in that it supports keyboard and mouse and gamepads and HOTASs, hands-on throttle and sticks. If you don't know what a HOTAS is, it won't support like VR motion controllers. So just so you're aware. I'm super excited for this game as well because having really enjoyed the X-wing mission, that feeling of being in a cockpit of an X-wing and hearing other people talk to you like through the single pack campaign is going to be amazing. But when you're in multiplayer and that's going to be your friends, looking over and seeing another X-wing and that's like Zim in that pilot seat, and we're going to go and take down a bunch of TIE fighters together and like do a bombing run on like a Star Destroyer.
You just hear the sounds. I can't wait. Spatial audio, please. Spatial audio.
Yeah, and not only that, I hope that they modify the audio in such a way that it sounds like you're actually, like talking over radio.
A few games have done that, like Vox Machina and a few others have done that, where you get that static. Elite Dangerous did it.
Like that. Because what I would love to do is like really get like professional military vocabulary in there, Rep 5 standing by, that kind of stuff. I think that would be awesome to do in that game.
Or as Revivalizer says in the chat, Red Talk 5 standing by.
Red Talk 5 standing by. I'm just feeling like I'm Slippy the Toad from Star Fox.
Yeah.
Who here has played Star Fox? Go on.
Oh yeah, absolutely, of course, yeah.
Mike is going to be the Jar Jar of Star Wars Squadrons. No one wants to play with him because he's annoying.
But the one thing I will say is that I'm super concerned about the motion sickness aspect of this game because, like, anyone that's tried a flight sim game in VR will understand what I'm talking about here. In that, as soon as you unlock that role, which it looks like it's going to be unlocked in this game, you can very easily get motion sick playing a game like this.
Space, though. Space. Have you ever found that in a space flight game, though? Because I found Elite.
It's been a while since I played like E-Valkyrie, but I remember that used to get me every time when I first started in VR. Like, I should go back and try it again.
It has a, let's say, I mean, these kind of like space sims have a pretty steep learning curve to get used to. But I think of the games that I played, sometimes you have two different modes where you can turn on an arcade mode where there are not too many like complicated movements you can do. And then you have the more simulation version where you can do way more. And I think we have seen that with plane sims, and maybe they do that. I don't know.
I hope that's the case because like in X-Wing mission on PSVR, they lock the horizon. So basically you it's pretty comfortable to play, even for fairly newcomers.
But do you think if they lock the horizon in a multiplayer game where PC players are going to eat you alive, that they're going to do that?
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
And also, I think that that's something that you can... It will get rough in the beginning, but I do think that's something that you can train yourself into. I mean, real-life pilots need to do that as well. So, I do think...
Balancing is going to be a real problem with this title. I'm telling you, I'm calling it now. It was a problem in Elite, E-Valkyrie, and this is a very, very similar dynamic to E-Valkyrie, where the turning radius for a gamepad player was tighter than that of a HOTAS player. And so there's nuanced things like that. If they don't get that right, and as I said, I don't know if they're planning a balancing mechanism, but if you're a flat gamer with a monitor in front of you, you do not have the same ability to neck turn and spot your enemy and track. You know, as you're turning your ship, you can track and meet a target in such a much better way than you can on a flat monitor. And for someone who hasn't tried it, just like find a way to try that before this game drops if you can. Borrow a headset or something.
I mean, EA is responsible for a part to add some comfort settings, and if that's blinders on the sides first, or having a very solid tutorial, or there needs to be something in there. You can't just throw people in there the way they showed it in this trailer.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a different place now. I know, Mike, you were more prone to sim sickness.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
in that era as well.
I was definitely, yeah.
But I would say that, like, if someone asked me, like, compare any type of VR category, like if you're in a seated cockpit, those tend to be more comfortable for people, even people new to VR. I find.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that yawing movement that you're talking
think
about
it is.
that screws you up. And for anything that's terrestrial, like let's say Wipeout, open all the windows and turn off Lock Horizon, and your stomach's going out the window. Like, so I recognize not all cockpit games are comfortable.
But I think that was my concern because, like Star Wars is such a huge franchise that has wide appeal amongst many, many gamers. And I think, Oculus, although we kind of criticized Vader Immortal to a certain degree in holding your hand too much, it was designed to get those newcomers on board. Whereas I worry about this game. A lot of people are going to be very excited about it and think, oh, okay, this is the game I'm going to go and buy a headset for. They try it and then they completely wipe themselves out with motion sickness and they're like, I can't do this.
The difference is
that's definitely going to happen. I'm 100% convinced that there are people that are going to get motion sick, a lot of people. But I do think that you kind of need to, you don't need to bite through the motion sickness. You need to quit before you get motion sick.
Yes.
But you need to do that in small little steps and build up that kind of like stamina you build against like it.
But I wonder what
golden
measures
rule.
EA will put in place to inform players about this.
But I think
that's
it's hard. I've never seen an app do it very well. Like I've never seen an app the rule that always worked for me, we used to call it the golden rule, is the second you feel anything odd, you stop until you feel perfect, and then you go back. And it's like breaking in a new pair of shoes. You wouldn't just keep wearing some 9-inch stilettos, keep walking down Main Street. You take them off and put on your flip-flops and maybe look normal for a little bit.
The problem here is that the VR support needs to catch up with the fast-paced gameplay on pancake screens. So it will suffer a little bit from that. Well, Star Wars Vader Immortal, it's not like you can play it on a outside of VR. So it's more like VR is an extra here, and it's kind of like lifting on the 2D gameplay. So yeah, like you don't want to be, for example, flying slower in VR than the people on an actual.
Yeah.
But you need to find I don't know how they did that, but we'll find out.
Well, I think that's going to be the interesting part, because for me, when I watched the gameplay reveal and I saw people doing barrel rolls and stuff, that's when I decided to make that little parody video, because, I think some people are going to get very sick playing this game. But I do think it's going to be awesome. I'm very, very excited about it, and I'm very looking forward to jumping in online and going out there with a squadron, of friends.
I think this is why you should wait out and see what this is all about before you pre-order it, because the gameplay we saw wasn't really gameplay in the VR space.
You don't need to pre-order nowadays. You don't need to do it. It's as simple as that.
There's no point. There's only one advantage, I would say, which is if you have a slow internet connection and you want to pre-download the game so you can play it on launch day. If it's like 150 meg, that's the advantage, and maybe the 10%
we all know
you get
that
off.
Day one comes with a 20 gigabyte patch.
That's
probably,
true.
or something.
Or if you're playing like Call of Duty nowadays, like 90 gigabyte updates. Are you kidding me?
That's insane.
Seriously.
But I would also say like pre-order incentives. Sometimes if you're a super fan, you can get lured in with those. But I would be a bit careful with it. That's all we'd say.
I hope they don't do that with this one. I hope they don't pull an Evolve on this one. I just recently read.
They already have, by the way.
No.
There is pre-order bonuses. You get special ship skins for both Imperial and New.
Okay, but that's fine. But like what Evolve did, the game where it was a 4 versus 1, the monster thing, they'd unlock you kind of like if the new Battlefield game launches, and straight out the gates you're given a level 3 engineer and all the unlocks. You're given a step ahead, right? And you don't have to actually play the game like other people. That I am absolutely against. And if they do that with this, I'll be pissed.
There could be a possibility that they go for a standard edition, for a deluxe edition, and then a special one. But they stepped away from at least locking content as a premium thing, because they found out that because of that it would be like, oh Mike, hey, let's do the fight of Endor. It's like, yeah, but I don't have the premium, so we can't play together. So they decided to, content wise at least, make it all free for everyone as updates.
Yeah.
But then the question comes, how else are they going to make money then? So that's always the question, the real question.
But skins and stuff, fine, right?
Yeah.
Content, no. And also unlocks. We saw that big table when they were doing the trailer, and they showed this kind of unlocks. You can't go unlocking stuff for people as a bonus. Like you're breaking your own game design by doing that.
The thing that could happen is, like, let's say you have an upgrade, like a new gun on the front of your ship. It could be that they lock it behind 15 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
and that's what they did with, for example, Darth Vader in Star Wars Battlefront. You couldn't play with him from the get-go, and you had to play like I think 80 hours to get it,
my
and
God.
then. But on other players who paid a lot of money, could just you have then these shortcuts as they call them in many games. You just buy it out, and
hope
that's
that's not
what
the case.
I hope it's not
that's
the
what you
case. I
call
hate
pay to
shortcuts.
win in a way.
Yeah.
So,
It basically
I don't know.
is. But they did hint, if I'm not mistaken, they hinted at the fact that you would need to put some campaign time in to unlock certain ships to then use in multiplayer. Maybe I'm making that up, but from my listen to the trailer, that's what I picked up.
I can't imagine the single player campaign is going to be that long. I'd imagine like 3 hours,
No, it's
3-4 hours. Yeah.
no.
But no, I'm very excited for the game. Do you guys have any suggestions if people want to sort of try some flight games out, get their space legs before this game comes out, see if they can stomach
Elite
it?
Right
Dangerous?
now,
Yeah.
Elite Dangerous is inexpensive, and it's a very good flight sim. I would just
No Man's
say
Sky?
that No Man's Sky is also very good, but it's not a great HOTAS game. That's the only
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you want to do like dogfights and that kind of stuff, I think that your best bet would still be something like Elite Dangerous.
Oh, I was
Fair enough.
thinking.
You have to have some friends, and I mean, there's got to be something better.
I was,
I haven't touched my HOTAS in a while, but I would
But you can,
recommend.
in Elite Dangerous, at least when I played it, you could do like even against like AI, like certain battles you could like play out and you would get like missions.
You're right.
in
So
the
there's ones
arena.
where you can like there's an array of like almost like a battleship or a battle cruiser with all these like little squadrons fighting. Those are brilliant. They're really good fun. So if you don't mind AI battles, then that's really good, and it will get you accustomed to a HOTAS. There's a cheap one that I bought years ago that's really good, which is the Thrustmaster T-Flight X, I think is what it's called, and it's like 40 quid. So if you want to go in cheap, that one's still doing well for me. It's got a little bit of a high dead zone, but look up HOTASes and see if you want to invest in the equipment. It makes a huge difference to a flight game. Just like a driving wheel does for a racing game, having a HOTAS makes night and day difference. Night and day.
I don't know. I was more thinking about balloon chair deathmatch as a first try.
Okay, fair enough. We got some suggestions from the chat from Paradise Decay, Everspace, House of the Dying Sun,
Yes.
Sublevel Zero, and Overlord.
House of the Dying Sun. It's like Homeworld,
Oh yeah.
where you play various ships, and if the ship dies, you go to the next one, and so it's like hopping between squads. That's a really good one and an underrated game.
I think
Nice.
if you have a PlayStation VR, because most of these games that we mention now are not available in VR on PlayStation. I think which one is it again, Mike? The one where you fly in this plane and you shoot
one that
up
you
this
got the
launch
HOTAS with.
platform, and I forgot the name.
Ace Combat 7?
Yeah, Ace Combat 7. That would also be.
Nice combat.
Yeah, nice suggestion. Yeah. So that is Star Wars Squadrons coming out in October, so 3 months to wait, but I think
Very
you know,
curious,
that's-
man. I'm very curious.
Very excited
I really
about it.
hope EA is gonna, nail it.
I think in terms of my most anticipated games coming to VR, like this is number one right now. I think Medal of Honor is number 2.
There wasn't that much else to read.
That is true. That is
Those
true.
are the two. Like
I have to say the same. They absolutely nailed the trailer and the
Yeah.
reveal for VR support. Like I'm so happy to have seen that. I haven't been that happy watching a trailer in a long time. I love it's colorful. Like that's one of the things that Elite Dangerous, if you play it, does not do right. Like it's a hardcore sim and you're in the dark all the time. I've fallen asleep so many times playing Elite.
Wow. There you go. I don't think you'll be falling asleep playing this one.
No.
So that is Star Wars Squadrons coming out in October. I think it's October 2nd for PC and PSVR. No Quest support, obviously, but you can play it on a Quest using Link with a PC or maybe a Shadow PC, which maybe I'll talk about on a future episode.